And we are live, ladies and gentlemen, Coach H live. We are in the world famous Reggie Lewis. But for me, this is a long time coming, long overdue. I've done a gazillion interviews, but this to me is very important because the man that I'm standing with, to me, is track and field royalty. He's a mentor, he's a legend, and I really want to give this man his props. I'm standing with the legendary Coach Sherman Hart. Coach Sherman Hart was the class of 1974 Northeastern at Umass Boston in the 80s. He won 37 NCAA national titles. He was the coach of the year 85, 86, 87. Took his talents back to his alma mater at Northeastern and won 24 American East Conference titles in an amazing 24-year career. Not done there. Took his talents to the Paralympic level, showing his versatility as a coach, and now he's our building director here at the Reggie Lewis. So I just wanted America, and most important, you kids in Massachusetts, when you see this man, salute this man. I'm standing with greatness. Sherman, thank you for this opportunity. So Sherman, for you, before 1974 Northeastern, when did it start for you? Were you an athlete prior to that, or?
Yeah, I was actually a four-sport athlete. So in high school, I played football, played basketball, and ran track because I didn't have a choice. And track was something that actually I had to do because my football coach down south, if you are a skill position, then you have to run track. So that's how I got involved with track. So all the skill positions, and actually me and my fellow defensive backs turned out to be a pretty good team overall in terms of, relays and individual events. So that's how I got caught up in track. Otherwise, I would have played baseball. I told my high school coach
Baseball? Wow.
I told my high school coach that I was going to play baseball, and he said, no, you're not. So that was the end of that story.
So when you say high school, what high school was that? Where from the South you from?
I'm from Washington, D.C., and I played for Archbishop Carroll. I played for the legendary Moss Collins, who at that time we were the top 10 in the country. So, and as I heard from them this year, they're back up there. So, it's a sports power.
Yes, the DMV is definitely sports power. Then you brought your talents here to Northeastern. Did you run at Northeastern, or?
No, I actually played football at Northeastern. So, once I finished high school and I didn't have somebody standing on top of me telling me to run, then I stopped running. I ran for fun, and they used to say there's fast and there's as fast as you want. I was the person that was fast as I wanted to be, so.
And then when you landed at the Huskies, you competed. What position? Wide receiver, DB?
I played wide receiver. I played offense. I played defensive back all during high school, but I came here and played offense.
Okay, and then after that, you started. How did we get into the track?
I started at Cooper Community Center, and it was a work-study job. And I went over to Cooper, which is right down the street from Reggie. And I said, so what do you do? Because I didn't want to do work-study on campus. I said, so what do you do? And he said, they play shuffleboard. I said, you're in Roxbury and you play no sports? So he said, yeah. I said, so where's the sports team? He said, I don't know. So I told John, I said, listen, I'm going to start a football program. And then I started a basketball program, youth football and youth basketball. And we did really well. And a young lady came in, and she was 14, and she said, I do gymnastics. What do you have for girls? And I said, I don't know anything about gymnastics. So I said, let's try track. And I put her in the Jesse Owens youth games, and we ended up getting 4th in the country that year. So, and the next year I had 80 girls and probably 10 guys.
So is that where the foundation of the Cooper Striders, to give you guys context, some of the most impactful coaches here in our state, in the region, is part of his coaching tree. When I was growing up, to give you guys context back home, the Cooper Striders were phenomenal in the 80s. The best athletes, the best trainers, kids that attended parochial, public, Metco. They would train with Sherman in the summer, and now lead some later on. So is that where the Cooper Striders name came from?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's where it came from. And then, I think we were in Nebraska at a national championship, and everybody kept calling me Mr. Cooper. And I said, okay, guys, we have to change our name and identify with Boston. So that's how we came up with Boston International.
Okay.
So that's how come the name changed, because I was tired of being called Mr. Cooper.
So this is, let's say, late 70s?
Yeah.
Late 70s, yeah. And then you were developing all these amazing high school athletes. And then what gave you the nudge to move to the collegiate level?
I was sitting there talking to Charlie Titus, and that was in the early 80s, and he had just taken over Umass Boston. Yeah, that was when Umass Boston and Boston State combined. And he said, I'm thinking about starting a track program. And I said, well, Charlie, I think I can come in there and do something really, really good with the program. So, he said, yeah, okay. So, he decided, okay, he said, well, I got another man I want to coach too from Medfield. And I said, okay, well, I'll do the women and you do the men. And so I ended up taking the women. And what I did is I said, okay, a lot of my kids are here from Boston. Let me start recruiting them. I recruited all except for the best ones, because the best ones I wanted to give a choice to, and they ended up coming with me anyway.
And that is, well, first and foremost, big shout out to Janessa Geddins. Coach Geddins had an amazing career, and that's just when the domino effect started happening for you in
and
80.
She was one of those I didn't recruit. She took me out to dinner one night, and she said, why aren't you recruiting me? I said, because you got 200 offers. I don't need to recruit you, But she recruited me kind of, so.
Okay. And then there's a lot of people that I respect in the sport. Coach Jeff Hennessy, Coach Chuck Martin, these old men talk and rave about their experience coaching under you during the times at UMass Boston. And then it seemed like it was sufficient, all the wins, making UMass Boston a national powerhouse. And was it the time right for you to go to Northeastern?
Yeah, well, you never can pass up going to your alma mater, and at that point, they wasn't doing really well anyway. So, they needed a lift. So, I talked to them, talked to the AD, Gene Rollins, and I give her a lot of credit for hiring me, because at that point, Northeastern had no black head coaches, and wow. She took a big chance in hiring me, and she said, listen, I just want to win, so that's why I'm hiring you.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because I want to celebrate your greatness. It is Black History Month, and for me, I'm 44 years old, and your name has ring synonymous in my city, in the nation, and I believe that you are a track and field royalty. So I look back and I start to see your impact. Tremaine, Coach Tremaine, she's the head coach at Northeastern. She's one of your former athletes. Yes. On the AAU level, Metropolis Cobras, one of the best programs in the state, RCC head coach. Right. Selena Rashad is one of your former athletes. And even down to here in our city, my track commissioner, Trevor Garrett, to coaches Michael Barnes, and it seems like you have sprinkled your seeds are all across the state. When you sometimes, and I see you up there, do you just embrace and see everyone that you have coached in the past and see them continue to push our sport forward and even continue your legacy? Do you get to appreciate that? What are you thinking when you're watching the meets here on Saturday and even tonight?
Well, that's one of the joys of my life, and sitting here looking at this young man that's behind the camera, Nas, it's like, one of the bottom lines is I said, I don't want you to be me, I just want you to do well. So, that's one of the joys of my life, watching all these guys come up, do well, do the things they're supposed to be doing, and to their credit, and I'm giving them credit, most of them have done extraordinarily well.
Absolutely. So, Sherman, I want to continue to stress it. When I first started coaching in 2013, I felt that you and Tony DeRocha, like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar with the all-time scoring, like there's certain things that can't be touched, that can't be eclipsed. But what I do appreciate over the years, that you continue to give me solid advice, you gave me positive feedback, and kids, constructive criticism. I became the better coach that I am today because Sherman gave me constructive criticism. So kids, it's very important. If you want to develop in the sport, You have to be able to listen to our elders, to the great ones. They've known what it takes to be great in the sport. And I felt Sherman, just to say, inspired me and empowered me all those years that you gave me, taking my phone call and answering my questions and telling me what I need to do or things that I'm doing right or things that I can improve. That meant a lot to me. So I want to just extend that my gratitude to you, because I really appreciate the things that you have done for me personally as a coach and as a person. And then now, this is year, 40 for you?
50.
50 years in track and field. And I think we have several things in common. Even though you're a DC boy, big shout out to the boys out in DC, Chocolate City, but your roots now are in Boston, and we both love our community.
Absolutely.
What can we say to our next future generation of coaches, headmasters, and student athletes? What will it take for them to raise the level of what the city once was and can be? What do we have to do as a district, the stakeholders in our community? What do we have to do to become the better league than we are currently?
Well, team, you just actually said it. You have to listen. Like I always laugh and tell people when I was young and I first started coaching, I was dumb. And they laugh and say, well, why were you dumb? And I said I was dumb because I actually listened to Brooks Johnson and John Thomas and Dave Henry. I was a young buck at one time too, and I learned to listen, and that's really important. And I think, a lot of times today, young coaches don't listen. Coaches just don't listen. They don't work. They don't use people's knowledge from the past because they think it's the past, but, it's all the same. So, I just think that at some point you have to learn to listen just like you did. And just like, I have 43 people out here coaching. And like I said, I don't want anybody to be me. I just want you to understand what you need to do and learn to listen. And they do a call list. All of them, including you, still call and ask questions.
Of course.
And, and that's important. Like I said, I've asked a lot of questions when I was young. I was dumb when I was young, as I also politely called it, even though I was at a Catholic school and you had to be halfway bright classroom-wise. But, athletically, I just learned a lot. One of the best things too is my father was a coach, so I learned what not to do and what to do. So one of the things my mother always said: pay attention, not only to the good things he's doing, but the bad things he's doing. So you won't make the same mistakes. So all my life I've been with coaches, and the funny part is I never played for my father. So my mother always told me I was too good to play for my father.
Oh,
so
wow.
She sent me to the Catholic conference. But,
that's funny.
Watching him and all my friends in the neighborhood and, the local high school team, I just learned so much from him, So, and I appreciate all those people that helped me along the way. Brooks was an Olympic coach, him and Esther Stroy used to practice at the same facility at Archbishop Carroll. So I learned a lot by sitting there watching him. And for those people that don't know Esther Stroy, she was probably the first American to go like 57, 56 in the 400. So she's
400 hurdles.
400 meters, 400 yards at that time. So, I mean, just watching her and working out with her and having fun and learning from Brooks, that, it was just a great experience. So, again, city coaches need to stop. They need to learn. They need to educate themselves. They need to ask people who've been there and done that.
You've shown your versatility. You've done the AAU circuit, high school circuit, collegiate circuits. But there's another thing that you have in your resume, in that feather of your hat of yours, Paralympics. When did you start getting into the Paralympic scene?
6 years ago. 6 years ago, a young man came to me and he said, I was asking the principal of East Boston, who's the best coach in New England, and he said Sherman Hart, go see him. So he actually brought him over to meet me, and from that, and Jerome was already world class when I got him. But what I learned from Jerome helped me with the two young ladies that I have that are American record holders and world class. And Jerome actually did run faster, but my two young ladies are American record holders. They are ranked in the top 5 in the world. So, yeah. And it's been great, and I've had them from step one. So everything they do wrong is me, everything they do right is me. So, that's how we laugh and go through it. But, I've loved coaching Paralympics. It's just a new experience for me.
You've watched the advent of the sport when it used to be people would wait for the print, and now kids have access to results right away. Do you see the anxiety in this younger generation where the kids need to take maybe a step back, listen more, and learn how to become better, efficient runners, and then time will come?
Yeah, I think so. I think, I see an incredible amount of talent. I see an incredible amount of talent in BPS, but, the thing is that we have to take a step back and learn the correct way of running and all the other things to be a lot more efficient, as you say. So, but that again comes back to coaches learning those type of things as well. You can't just come out and be a great runner. There's no magic dust in the bag. So, the bottom line is that everything you have to be educated. So, I think it needs to start with the coaches being educated. I think that all young athletes need to work on their form first and foremost, and then we go from there.
Form. You hear that, kids? Is very critical. The form, learning the fundamentals and the techniques of our sport. Sherman, and then now you wear multiple hats as well as coaching. You're in our beloved Reggie Lewis, and you've been sitting as the interim director for how many years now?
Well, I don't know what it's called interim. It's just called
the director. I apologize. Yeah,
Okay.
You're the director. Yeah, you're the director now,
Yeah.
and that's a different hat.
Well, you know what? It's a nice place to land. It's really a nice place to land because you're still very involved with track and field, and it's like I said, it wasn't my favorite sport. It was probably 4th on my list.
I can't believe that.
Yeah, well, believe it.
Wow.
Believe it.
Wow.
The first sport I coached was baseball, so just believe that too. So.
Wow.
But it just gives me an opportunity not only to deal with the young athletes and coaches, but to deal with the community, and that's probably even more special to me. So.
You have a Hall of Fame resume. Is there anything left that you would be seeking?
No, you know what? I'm at the point where I'm happy. I always laugh and tell people if I die tomorrow, I'll die happy and satisfied with all the things I've done. The numerous wins, the great athletes I've had. I look up on that Hall of Fame board there, and I've got 11 athletes up there. So and then you go to UMass.
Massachusetts Hall of Fame.
You go to UMass, and I have like 12 more. You go to Northeastern, I have 12 more, and I have 43 coaches. So, and 47 collegiate championships. So, I've done everything I felt like I needed to do, and a couple of Olympians. So,
Well, Sherman, I just wanted to make sure that this generation who does watch and follow my content, they understand that we're standing with greatness. So when they come into the Reggie, I would like for them to salute you in the proper manner because I feel your hard work, your efforts trickle down to me. And hopefully that I've taken the baton. I was inspired by the work that you've done, and that's why I try to have the summer program that I have because it was the work that you put in and you laid down. And I just want to continue what you have done from the city and from my peers, and I think it's important that people recognize the source. And a lot of people catch on to what I guess I'm doing in this time, and I always give it right back to the point of reference. Outside of my mom and dad and my grandfather for what they've done, it's someone like you who I believe is the benchmark. And I am very grateful for what you have done, and I'm glad that that's trickled down to someone like myself. And I hope that I've made you proud on the things that I'm doing in the track space, and I think that all I'm doing is continuing the vision and the dream that you had 30, 40 years ago when you came to our city, and I'm just happy that I can say that I'm a part of your tree.
Yeah, and I'm happy that you're there, and everybody else. I count you as one of my 43. So
Yes.
I'm just happy that all the people that I've had been associated with has actually gone out, learned something, and become really good coaches. And again, as I tell everybody, you can't be me, be you.
Yep.
And I'm so proud of all of you that
Yep.
came out and decided what you were going to do and how you were going to do it, and became really good coaches. Yeah. Only thing I take credit for is planting the seed. The
Yep.
rest is all you.
Ladies and gentlemen, when you see this man in the Reggie, he's just not a guy that's walking around. He is a stakeholder. He's a pillar, not just here in Boston, but in the nation. Sherman Hart, I appreciate you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, Track and Field Royalty, Sherman Hart. Thank you.
Thank you.